Welcome to episode 167 of the Twim Show. This is your host Ajid Islam, and today I'll be going over the notable news and updates in the digital marketing space from the week of June 26 through 30, 2023. First off, time's up for Universal Analytics. It is now time for you to embrace GA4 if you haven't already done so. Just so that you know, Universal Analytics will stop processing data on July 1st, although Google is gonna slowly roll that out. So even if it's processing in your account, just so that you know, it's going to stop processing. By now, you should have moved over to GA4. If for some reason you haven't and you need help, feel free to reach out to us. Although I would say don't reach out to us, just because by now you should be on GA4. I don't mean to contradict myself. It's just that we already have a lot of work on hand, and after I said that, I was like, "Oh crap! What did I offer?" Because we cannot actually take on new clients unless we add more headcounts, and we are not in a position to add headcounts right now, just because it's going to distract us from the work we are doing at the moment for our clients. Okay, but if you need help in finding another company who can handle your GA4 migration, then do reach out, and I will try my best to point you to. There are a lot of good vendors out there who can take care of you. Okay, with that, next up is Google is basically encouraging everyone to upload or to transfer to import conversions from Google Analytics into Google Ads, because they're saying that if you do that, it's going to help you with more getting more from your Google Ads campaign. I kind of seem to agree with that, just because I've seen that the more data you feed into Google Ads, the better it works, because Google, as long as Google knows who are your customers who are converting, not just from Google Ads but also from offline or from other means on your website, that really gives Google a good picture of who that customer they should target, and where should this search ads should show up and not show up. Okay, so try doing this import if you're still running your own Google Ads, or ask your ads person to do it. Next up, YouTube has revamped their impersonation policy for fan channels. It's just that so many people are copycatting others' content, and they're just creating these faceless channels, things like that. So, but this one primarily targets fan channels, required them to clearly state that their non-affiliation with the entities they support. They need to so basically, if you have a fan channel, you need to explicitly mention people don't get confused that this is not market and grow channel but market and grow fan channel, right? Other than that, nothing else. Business is as usual, but you don't want to be on the wrong side of Google. So if you have a fan channel, please make sure you do the right things. Microsoft has updated their policies for better compliance and user safety. So from July 1st, which was 2 days ago, Microsoft will put into action defined structure for penalties targeting advertisers who do not adhere to these guidelines. Sanctions will range from disapproval of ad components to immediate suspension of services for severe violations. Modification: Microsoft will now accept advertisements for vitamins and supplements within the network, provided they refrain from making extravagant health claims. It's also a mandate that these ads link directly to a product page rather than an advertorial article or video. In addition, gambling advertisements will be permitted in jurisdictions where such promotion is legal, contingent upon advertisers having the necessary operating licenses. Changes in gambling ad regulations are also slated for Belgium and Netherlands from July 2023. I'm going to skip that because obviously most of my listeners are from the US. And then other than that, everything else, they are also saying advertisements for clinical trials and experimental medical treatments will be globally banned, and adult oriented advertising will no longer be accepted in Hungary or Poland. Other than that, okay, most of this policies taken into effect on July 1st, 2023. So you now know everything to be, on top of things. If there's a specific policy that you think applies to you, then check out the show notes. Now, moving into SEO front, Google's John Mueller has offered valuable insights into the role of semantic HTML in enhancing website content comprehension for search engines. Mueller clarifies his influence on SEO, accessibility, and indirectly search rankings. So, semantic HTML is not a directly ranking, does not help you with direct ranking, but it can help you with, it can help you with ranking. So what is semantic HTML? Semantic HTML can be described as those elements like heading, paragraphs, lists, tables, links, images, articles, sections, asides, and figures. So these are those HTML tags that goes in your HTML page, and that helps you to describe the content. For example, when you use a tag like HTML tag like div or span, it doesn't really tell the search engine what that content is going to be all about. But when you use a tag like form or table or article, it clearly defines what kind of content is going to be there. So if you have a tag called form, and then you put name, first name, last name, and whatnot, the search engine can then actually understand, oh, this is a form. It can make sense out of it, and then obviously it knows what to do. Right. So what John Mueller is saying, look, while semantic HTML does not directly influence your ranking, but it will help you in the long run. Why is that? Like, imagine search engines, which is spiders or crawlers, are machine languages. When it comes to your web page and it says something like div, it just makes any other div. Like, what does div mean? Right? It's a division in the page. But when it says a form, it says, this is a form. So they're taking a form, or they're talking about a table. This is a table tag. So it gives some context, more context to that stuff inside that table tag. And then, obviously it helps to categorize and, store it in Google's machines or databases, so that next time someone is looking for it, they can go fetch it directly. So that's what I think John is referring to. And he's saying, try to use semantic HTML as much as possible. It's because it helps you, and also obviously it also assists screen reader software in interpreting web content for visually impaired users, ensures keyboard navigability, enhances the usability of assistive technologies, and promotes responsive web designs for various devices. Okay, now, obviously, if you're a business owner, you would not be able to do this on your own. You would need to work with your web developer and make sure, not all of your website has to have semantic HTML, but try to use as much as possible. Right, and this has to be a conscious effort. If you're trying to rank and you're just doing keyword stuffing, that is so 1990s and early 2000s, that you don't want to do that anymore. You want to kind of tweak and have good content, and obviously have all this stuff like the structured metadata, the semantic HTML, and then obviously good quality content explaining what's the solution to the problem you're trying to solve through your web page or through the blog will help. Okay, next up is Google is phasing out sitemaps ping endpoint. So what are sitemaps ping endpoint? So up until this phase out, you could do simply like google.com/ping, P-I-N-G, with a question mark, and then you could do sitemap equals to marketandgrow.com/sitemap.xml. So anyone could actually do a sitemap ping. That's what it's called. You could basically, anyone without without being authenticated. Anyone could just do this, which is like, I could type in, like, I'm sitting in my browser and I could just type in like google.com/ping with a question mark. That question mark tells you, hey, I'm going to send you a parameter, and then parameter is sitemap equals to cnn.com slash sitemap.xml or whatever the file name is, and send it to Google. And Google is saying, hey, we're going to stop this. What we have found out is that this causes a lot of spam and it doesn't really help. So now going forward, the way to do it is obviously you have to go to Search Console and send your sitemap. Well, that's good. And the other thing is Google is saying that you want to use last modified date, which is the last mod value. We have covered this in our show in the past. You want to use that because that will tell Google what pages have changed, right? What was the last modification date? So it's no longer open to all, like, just people sending bunch of sitemaps. People have robots and crap sending it to Google all day long and pinging and overloading Google servers. And also it's the same thing with Bing. So they're saying that other than that, just so that Google doesn't use change frequency or priority elements for sitemap, you want to use the last mod element. And if you need help, obviously, talk to a SEO professional. Now, Google is not promising just because you're going to start using updating sitemaps through Search Console, it's going to process any faster. Google is saying it's going to be the same. It's just that we don't want you to use unauthenticated methods just because it just overloads our system, and it's primarily used by spammers. Now, this is an interesting question that came up this week is Google delivering on its promises? Because there was an article on Wall Street Journal and a research done by Adalytics that says that 80% of those ads served across the web by YouTube are infringing upon its own service terms, potentially costing Google billions in refunds and shaking the advertisers' trust. So what this basically means is that, well, when you put up an ad on YouTube and you tell YouTube, hey, you can show this ad on my partner sites, Google Video Partners program, most of the time these ads are playing on sites where the volume is muted, it's unskippable and auto-played off screen, right? So basically, while Google is saying that people are actually watching your videos or ads when they're not muted, they're getting the full YouTube experience, and they are skippable and not automatically played. This research from Adalytics saying that's not true. Google is actually just taking your money and is just throwing it to third-party sites, and it's just causing a lot of issues. Now, I kind of agree with Adalytics. Obviously, I've seen myself where, if I were to run search campaigns on search partner sites, I have no clue on where the sites are, what's being run, what those queries are, things like that. So given that, obviously Google has to kind of get into the defensive position and kind of, respond. So far, they're saying, hey, that is not true. The methods they use is not accurate and things like that. So Google is in a little bit of hot soup. I just want you to know there's nothing for you to do at this point. Just be cognizant of that, and maybe ask your team, ask your vendors, hey, are you using Google Video Partners? If so, what are the results? Do we need to kind of taper off of that and just focus on the main YouTube or whatnot? It's up to you to decide. I just wanted you to be aware that this is happening, and how this shakes out is something we will see. And if there are any updates to this issue, I'll bring it to this show. Next up, Google's ads liaison, Jeannie Marvin, talked about Google's value-based bidding, which to clear up misconceptions and responding to queries. What value-based bidding is actually it aims to maximize conversion value within your budget and optional return on ad spend. Now, having said that, this is where I'm going to stop because it's a very big concept, and I cannot just explain to you in 2 minutes to the whole thing how this works. But I am going to put a link to the Twitter thread where Jeannie went through and talked all about value-based bidding. Check it out and see if this helps you or not. I would think it holds a lot of weight in terms of how Jeannie is explaining. Now, obviously, for everything you need to test to make sure it applies to you and you are actually profitable. So then again, this is something you will ask your team, ads team, hey, are we using value-based bidding? How is it working for us, or something else better for us? You need to ask them. Talking about asking your team, you need to also be aware of that Google has introduced new brand settings for search and performance max campaigns. These updates are expected to provide advertisers with increased control over and precision over their ad targeting, notably involving broad match and brand exclusions. Previously, you could only do exact matches, and that has allowed you to miss out some of the opportunities with this broad match with brand settings, which is one is it allows you to use it as if it's an exact match, but it's actually a broad match. You need to test it out, if this actually helps you with or not. But again, I would just run Google experiment with 20% of your budget and see if this really helps or not. The last update of this week is that Google is tightening its rules on third-party click tracking. Right, and this is gonna get enforced from August 28th. What this basically means is that third-party click. First of all, let me explain what third-party click tracking services are. They are basically things like services, companies that use to monitor and analyze the performance of their online advertising campaigns. So these are coming from companies such as ClickMeter, Volume, Improvely, Link Tracker, ClickMagic. So basically, what happens after someone clicks. All right. These services help advertisers understand which ads are performing well and which aren't by tracking the number of clicks. They provide insights into effectiveness of various ads. By understanding which ads are receiving more clicks, advertisers can tweak their campaigns accordingly. Click tracking can provide insights into user behavior, which the type of ads are more appealing to users, what time users are more likely to click on ads, blah, 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 and the list goes on. Now, Google is saying starting August 28th, if you are using an unapproved vendor for click tracking, then you are going to be in a world of pain. Right, and you need to use a list of approved vendors. And I think it makes sense because this is going back into the whole reason for moving away from cookie-based tracking. It's just privacy is a big thing, and Google does not want to enable third-party things that are violating privacy, snooping on users, things like that. So I am in the show notes. I have the link to the policy as well as the list of approved partners. Go ahead and check it out if you are using third-party click tracking services. And with that, folks, that's it for this week in marketing. This is your host Sajid Islam signing off. Until next week, take care. Bye-bye.